For the last 2 weeks, I have been sworn to silence about Call of Duty Warzone. 2 weeks ago, I actually went and played it in LA. Activision and Infinity Ward brought me down, so thank you to them for doing so. And I actually got to play Battle Royale. Now, the problem with that was I couldn't talk about it for 2 weeks. I literally had to sign an NDA, and if I talked about it, they could sue me to China and back. And I don't want to go to China. They have got coronavirus there. So I was stuck. I was stuck in this place where I couldn't talk about it. I knew it was coming out on the 10th, and I couldn't say anything. But today, I can officially upload videos, talk about the game, show you everything it has to offer, and I'm not going to lie, I think you're going to like it. So in this video, what we are going to be doing is going over 50 different things that you should know about Warzone before you hop in and play. We are going in depth, and you're going to get the entire lowdown on Warzone. So here we go. So first things first, this game is free to play. Yes, you didn't hear me wrong. This is the biggest thing. I think the biggest announcement of the entire thing. It is free for everyone. Now, if you own Modern Warfare, you're going to get a little bit of an added bonus because all of the weapons are already going to be unlocked for you for your drop kits. And we'll get into drop kits in a minute, but you're also going to have all your unlocked characters and things like that. So there is a bonus to owning the game, but the base gameplay is actually exactly the same for both people, which is really, really cool in my opinion. So this is free to play. The next thing you need to know is that there is 2 new game modes. The first game mode is, of course, Battle Royale. That is what you are watching here. This is the one that you're going to be used to. The circle moves in on the zone, and you want to be the last team alive. Pretty straightforward. There is also a second mode, though, that I can't show you until tomorrow. This one is called Plunder. In this mode, respawns are enabled, and your goal is to get the most possible money or get $1 million. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth with Plunder in this video. This is going to be based around Battle Royale. I just thought I would mention the other game mode is there as well, and that is going to be there tomorrow at launch. Also, if you're wondering about the whole money thing, don't worry, we'll go into that in much more detail in a little bit. So this video is going to be all about Battle Royale, and I figure the best way to look at everything you need to know about it is to start at the very beginning and work our way through a game. So at the very beginning of the game, you're going to spawn into a pre-game lobby. This is basically the waiting area till everyone gets into the game. Speaking of which, that's the next thing you need to know. There are 150 people in a game. Not 200, not 100, 150. So in this pregame lobby, you spawn in with a random weapon, and you can actually kill enemies. Now, you don't get anything for killing these enemies. It's just kind of like a fun warm-up round. So then once the game actually starts, you fly in a C-130, and we see this opening cinematic, which was very clearly the same cinematic that was in the original trailer for Modern Warfare. Anyway, that's beside the point. But once we actually drop in here, the first thing that you're going to see is the entire map. Here it is. This is the map, what you are looking at here. I'm actually going to have a video later today going much more in depth with the entire Battle Royale map. But once you've looked at the map and you start dropping in, the first thing that you're going to notice is that if you look down, you can actually see the names of the locations floating over them, which isn't really a big thing, but it's kind of cool. The next thing we have here is the actual drop-in, and this one's a little bit difficult because it's different, very, very different than Blackout. Basically, when you first drop in, it's very easy to dive just straight down out of the plane. However, it is not easy to get somewhere far away. Basically, if you want to get somewhere far away, you have to pull your chute and float towards it, and then once you get closer, you can cut your parachute again and then kind of dive down. Now, I have only played like 5 or 6 games, so I don't currently know the best way to drop in, but that's just what I found from my limited playtime. The next thing you're going to notice is in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, I have my team there, and I'm playing with myself and 2 other players. And you may be wondering what the actual team size is in Battle Royale, and maybe even in Plunder as well. It is 3. It is only 3. Now, yeah, you can go in solo, but there's no actual solo playlist, at least at the launch. They did say that they're going to be adding in different playlists throughout, but at the launch, it is 3v3 only, not 4v4, not 5v5. It is 3v3 to start out, and then as they add in different playlists, that number may actually change. The next thing you're probably seeing down in the bottom left is my actual health. So how does health work? First of all, you have a base health of 100 damage. This is the white bar that you're seeing in the bottom left there. That automatically regenerates. You don't need bandages, you don't need medkits, nothing like that. You will always have 100 health before going into a battle. However, there is something called armor. armor doesn't regenerate, and what you can do is use up to 3 armor shards, and these will give you an extra 50 health for every section that you get. As you can see down in the bottom left there is 3 different sections for armor. Each piece of armor is worth 50 damage, and you can use 3 at a time. You don't need a ballistic vest or anything like that. You just need to find the armor shards after getting into a battle, and in a bit we'll discuss a couple of ways of actually getting those. The next thing we're going to look at here is the HUD, the heads-up display, what you are seeing as you actually play. So first off, in the top left-hand side of the screen, you have the minimap. This is going to display where your teammates are, where individual items or challenges that we're going to talk about in a little bit are, and on top of that, the one thing you may have noticed is that there are actual red dots on screen when your enemies shoot. So when your enemies shoot, they show up as a red dot on the minimap like it used to in multiplayer. Now, I don't know or don't think that they're implementing this in multiplayer with this update. However, in Warzone, when you shoot, you show up on the minimap, which was weird to see compared to 1, other Battle Royale games, and 2, compared to the Modern Warfare multiplayer. The second thing you're going to notice is the countdown timer. That is obviously for the zone. So when that time gets to 0, that is when the zone starts moving in. And if you actually make it to the very end of the game, the final amount of zones that are possible are 8 different zones that can finally close in. Speaking of the zone, there's kind of 2 things we have to mention about this. First of all, it moves in very quickly and it hits very hard. If you are in the zone, it is probably going to kill you. So when you're playing, you want to be preemptive and try to get out of the area where the zone is closing well before it actually starts to close. On top of that, there is a new item you can pick up called a gas mask. And if you use this gas mask while you are in the zone, it basically gives you 10 to 12 seconds of time that you will not take damage from the zone. It's actually a pretty good item. But again, that zone moves fast and 10 to 12 seconds is not that long of a time. Going back to the HUD, in the top right hand corner, you have your player counter. From left to right, it shows the amount of teams left, the amount of players left, and then the amount of players you killed. Down in the bottom left hand side of the screen, you have your team information. This is going to show the amount of health your team has left, who's alive, who's dead, and how much money they have. On top of that, in the middle, you may see an arrow that shows drop. If you press this, you're able to drop ammo, drop money, and share items with your team. On top of that, there is a new feature in this Battle Royale in Warzone, which is pinging. You can ping anything, a weapon laying on the ground, an enemy that you want to kill, or just specific locations around the map. You press up on the D-pad, it pings the location, and your entire team can see it. It is one of the best new features in Call of Duty Warzone. Then finally, in the bottom right-hand side of the screen, this is your weapon information, what weapon you have, what attachments it has on, how much ammo you have left, and also your field upgrade. Field upgrades aren't earned like in multiplayer, you simply find them like loot. Speaking of loot, that's probably one of the most important things in a Battle Royale. Next, we're going to look at how loot works in Warzone. For lack of a better way of explaining this, it's a lot like Fortnite. When you spawn in, you can find random items laying on the ground, and on top of that, there's this new to Call of Duty, there are chests, both regular and rare chests. The rare are kind of like orangey, that's the main difference. Now, these chests kind of make like a glowy noise when you're getting near them. That's the only way I can explain it. So you'll hear one before you actually see it, then you can go find it, open it, and then you'll find your loot. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with loot is weapons. First things first, the weapons are actually reworked compared to multiplayer. The stats are not the same. So at this point, I don't really know what the best weapons in the game are. However, I will say 2 things about individual types of weapons. Number 1, shotguns are really good. They got a lot of range and do a lot of damage. I would say from playing, the best weapon I came across is the R90. The second thing is a sniper rifle. So a sniper rifle like the HDR or AX50 is always going to be a one-shot kill to the head, even if they have full armor. So 250 damage it does to the head, which is a lot, which makes sniper rifles pretty good. The other interesting thing about weapons is there is no attachments. You cannot pick up attachments off the ground at all. The only way you can get attachments on your weapons is by finding rare weapons. So basically the rarity of weapons goes green, blue, purple, and then orange, I believe. If you find a green weapon, it'll have 1 attachment. If you find a orange weapon, it will have 5 attachments. You don't get to pick what those attachments are. It's just the ones that you actually find on those weapons. On top of that, there is a way to use create a class, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit when we talk about money. The other thing that you can get out of loot crates or on the ground is ammo. Ammo, I actually ran out of a lot, so it's important you pick up the ammo for the proper weapon. So there's different ammo for SMGs, assault rifles, LMGs. Make sure you're picking up the right ammo for the right weapons that you are using. Another thing that you can loot is field upgrades. You can find anything from a barricade to a munitions box. In my opinion, munitions box is the best one you can find. It gives you ammo in any situation and a good amount of ammo at that. The other thing that I mentioned before that I didn't go too in depth with was armor pieces. You can loot these, find them in chests, find them on the ground, or pick them up off of dead bodies. You can carry 5 of them at a time, and to fully refresh your armor, if you have none, you need 3 armor pieces. Honestly, this is one of the most important items in the game. It's going to save your ass in almost every single gunfight. And then the final thing, and arguably the most important thing that you can loot, is money. So how does money work, and why is it in Warzone? So there's essentially 5 ways of earning money in game. The first of which is what you just saw on screen there. I opened a chest and money was inside it. Pretty simple. You find it. The second way of earning money is killing people. Kill someone and then they drop their money, you pick up their money. And then there are 3 other ways of getting money which are new to this battle royale, and they are challenges. So throughout the map and on your mini map, you're going to see locations where there are challenges marked on the map. And there are 3 different types of challenges. The first one that you're seeing here is called a scavenger challenge. My teammate picked it up and it is the little magnifying glass icon. Now basically what you have to do for these is find the specific loot chests and open them. You have to open 3 of them, and upon opening all 3, you get a bunch of money. Also on screen there, you are seeing that I am currently hunted. That is a different type of contract known as an assassination contract. These are denoted by like the little sniper reticle, and basically they give you an assassination target and show you exactly where they are on the map. As you're seeing right here, I was sent to kill Charlie Intel, and it shows me his exact location. Upon killing them, you'd get a set amount of money. The third type of contract is known as a recon contract, and essentially that just sends you to a location to check out what's going on over there. I never found any recon, so I don't know what they look like, but I know that type of challenge is in the game. So now that you have found some money, maybe earned some by completing some challenges, what can you actually do with this money? What is the point of it? Well, around the map, there are buy stations. They are denoted by a shopping cart on your mini map, and when you go to them, generally it's a pretty busy area because a lot of people are going to them to get stuff. And what you can do is take your money and buy a bunch of really good items. Pretty much all of the best items in the game are here. So what do we have? First off, for $1,500, you can get an armor plate bundle. This gives you 5 armor plates. Remember, I said those are really important, so that's actually not a bad thing to buy. There's also some kill streaks. You can see the shield turret, cluster strike, precision airstrike, UAV. All of those are decent. They're expensive for what you get, though. A lot of, for example, the cluster strike are actually really hard to hit enemies because it doesn't cover a giant area. Also, as we talked about before, you can buy a gas mask, which helps you out if you get stuck in the zone. There's also a self-revive kit, which essentially just makes you be able to get up after you've been down. This is actually a pretty good item. I used it once, but still died afterwards anyway because I had no more armor plating. So if you buy the self-revive kit, you might want the armor plate bundle as well. And then finally, if you look down at the bottom there is a loadout drop marker. Basically, this is a care package that you can call in, and what you get is a drop kit. Now, what is a drop kit? Essentially, it's a create a class. So in the pregame, you can go through the menus and actually create a class that you can use in game. You can put overkill on it, which means you can get a sniper and an assault rifle all at the same times. Also, these drop kits are the only way you are currently able to get perks within the game. This is basically the god tier loadout. You can use whatever weapons you want for $6,000, which is pretty expensive. Essentially, it's like completing 3 challenges or finding a ass load of money. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is killing people, and there's a bit of a problem with this. I'll explain it in a second, but I'm not sure if it's going to be fixed for tomorrow, but when we played the game, it was kind of broken. Basically, you don't actually get a kill until the person who is downed is killed. So for example, if I down someone and then one of my teammates finishes them off while they're downed, I don't get the kill. my teammate does, which is kind of annoying. It also doesn't show you the amount of players you have downed throughout a game, which I don't love, so it's going to cause people to thirst a lot and really go for those downed players, which I think is kind of unnecessary. But they did say that that's something that they can fix, so I would assume at some point that will change. So where there is kills, there is also deaths, but they work a little bit weird in this game. So first of all, when you get shot and killed, you get downed, and this works like any other battle royale, where you kind of just lay there and wait for your team to save you. And if they do, you get back up, you can heal your armor, your health goes back to 100, everything is hunky-dory. However, if you die, you can actually respawn. And there's essentially two different ways that you can respawn. First of all, once a game, you have the opportunity to fight for your life. Instead of dying, you get captured and sent to the gulag. You wake up in your prison cell and have to fight in the gulag in a 1v1. The player who wins gets back in the game. The player who loses is then dead. However, even if this happens to you, you can still respawn. Also, keep in mind, you can only fight in the gulag once per battle royale game. Now, one cool thing is that only 2 people can compete in the gulag at a time, which means the people who are in queue actually get to watch the other people fighting in the gulag. So if more than one of your teammates has died at once, one of them will actually be watching and can tell you where the enemy that you're fighting actually is in the little gulag map, which is actually just a pretty good strategy. On top of that, the people who are watching can actually throw rocks at the people who are fighting. The one other thing that I should mention is that the gulag isn't active for the entire game. About 3/4 of the way through the game, the gulag deactivates and you can no longer respawn by winning that 1v1. However, if you do die many times, your team can actually keep saving you. Your team can actually take that money that they've earned and for $4,500 buy back a teammate, and they just spawn in and drop in from the sky once again. And that is done at those buy locations that we talked about before. So you can buy back a teammate for $4,500 and boom, you have your team back. Or at least you do when they drop back in. Now, remember how I was talking before saying you can buy your loadout in-game at one of the buy locations? Well, they also randomly drop in throughout the map as care packages. And a lot of the time, if you have died and you're spawning back in, you'll be able to see where those locations are from your C-130. Now, it's a pretty good strategy when you drop back in with just your pistol after you've died to go for one of these locations. The problem is, a lot of the times, people are fighting over these locations because the loadouts are so damn good. So it's kind of like a high-risk, high-reward situation, but I think it's a really cool dynamic that they've added in. Another thing I forgot to mention before about the map is exactly how the map works. There's a lot of really big buildings here. So in any building that's over 7 floors tall, the only areas that loot will be is on the first floor, aka the bottom floor, and the roof of the building. Everything else is barren, which actually works because if it wasn't that way, everyone would just be camping their asses off. So I actually really like that. But the crazier thing is that every individual building was designed independently, which means they didn't just take a house, copy and paste it to another location on the map. They actually went in and designed every building, every house, every structure that you can go in. And because of that, the map feels so much bigger than it actually is because it takes so much more to learn because every building is different. And speaking of getting around the map, there are a bunch of different vehicles as well. Now, as you're roaming around the map, you'll be able to see these vehicles on your mini-map, but they include ATVs, SUVs, helicopters, cargo trucks, and the TAC Rover, all of which have different movement speeds, none of which have weapons. There's no tanks or APCs or anything like that, which is great because I was worried they were going to do that and it would ruin the Battle Royale. There's not, and it works really well. I will say, I think the best vehicle is probably the helicopter, as you can move around really quickly with that, complete different challenges, and get to the best possible positions. Now, just 2 other things that you should probably know about the Battle Royale Warzone is, number 1, the length of the games. They take between about 20 to 25 minutes. That's how long it takes for the entire collapse to happen. So about your average length of a Battle Royale game. And the other thing, and I just wanted to make this known because I found it interesting that Infinity Ward was talking about it, they are planning on supporting this game after they launch it, adding new playlists, map updates, updating the story for it, which don't worry, we will talk about, but they are going to stay up to date with this game, and I'm curious what the longevity of this thing will actually be. Now, almost the last thing here is winning. There's something that happens when you win, and if you don't want it spoiled, don't watch this video any further, but there's a little cutscene that plays, and I'm going to show you what actually happens when you win a game of Warzone. Here it is. Essentially what it does is it just shows your whole squad flying away in the helicopter as the champions, and that is pretty much it. It's just a cool little cutscene for those who actually won the game. And then the final thing that I forgot to mention before is crossplay. Crossplay is enabled. This is a free-to-play Call of Duty game, Battle Royale, with crossplay. We have never seen anything like this before, and I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it. So, as always, if you did enjoy this video, I tried to be as informative as possible to get you guys ready for the launch of Warzone. So if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it if you hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. We have so much more Warzone content coming, so make sure you're subscribed, make sure you have notifications on. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments, and tomorrow we are going to be streaming Warzone like crazy, so make sure you check out my Twitch down in the description as well. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made